Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be ranking every episode of Book 1, Water, from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm a pretty big fan of this show. I'm on my second viewing. I watched it by myself and I kind of binged Book 2 and 3, and I'm watching it again with my dad. I'm almost done with Book 2, but I wanted to do a ranking of all of the Book 1 episodes. There will be a ranking of all the Book 2 episodes when I am finished rewatching Book 2. This is my ranking of all of the Book 1 episodes. Keep in mind a couple things. One, this is just my opinion and my personal enjoyment of the episodes. If you don't agree, that's fine. No, angry comments about that. And also, this is subject to change. My opinion could change in the future on subsequent rewatches. This is just, after a second viewing, kind of what I was able to determine was my favorite or least favorite episodes. And without further ado, I'm gonna get straight into the list. So number 20, and this is my least favorite episode of the whole show, I think. I have to watch Book 3 again to really know, but I'm pretty sure this is my least favorite episode of the show, is The Great Divide. So this episode really pisses me off because Aang lies in order to solve a conflict. First of all, the episode is just very boring. The color palette isn't very interesting. There's not a lot of action. Just the main plot is just kind of boring. There is some good elements with how Sokka and Katara interact with the various tribes, but then once the tribes end up essentially fighting with each other, and Aang just comes up with a story, and the fact that if that story was true, it would have been cheeky and kind of fun, but the fact that Aang lies and everyone believes him because he's the Avatar, I don't like that. I think that's really stupid, and I think it goes against Aang's character to have him just blatantly lie. I understand, lying in a situation, a different situation, if he's, trying to protect somebody or something, but this case, he's just trying to, get them to stop bickering, and he just comes up with a story that's, kind of stupid, but they believe it anyway because he's the Avatar, and I don't like that. I thought that was really lame. The rest of the episode was just kind of dull. Number 19 is, episode 1, Boy in the Iceberg. This is the first episode of the show, so, obviously, it's gonna be a little rough around the edges. I think the second part definitely has more action. There's not really, a lot of action in this episode. We just have, basically, Aang and Katara and Sokka discover Aang in the iceberg, and we get the build up with the Fire Nation a little bit. We get Zuko and Iroh's introduction, and there's not really a whole lot. They're about to attack the village because Aang set up a trap in a Fire Nation ship, and by accident, and this is a good episode for setting up the characters, setting up the world. Hey, there's different nations and they're fighting, and Aang doesn't really know what's going on with the world, but it's just not a very interesting episode on its own, but it is obviously a necessary one. We at number 18, I have episode 4, The Warriors of Kyoshi. I could see some people disagreeing with me on this one. The reason I rank this episode so low, I will say that I love the characters of Suki and the Kyoshi Warriors, and I love the setting and the final sequence when Zuko comes to the island and burns down, starts burning the island, and Aang traps the Unagi, gets the Unagi to spray the water on them, is really great. However, a lot of this episode just revolves around Aang having a bunch of fangirls and kind of letting it get to his head. I understand he's a child, but first of all, it's kind of annoying, and it's a kind of weird running gag because we don't really see that again in other towns he visits. But second of all, it's just not very interesting, and it goes on for way too long. The Sokka plot is good because you do have Sokka trying to learn to not be sexist, and Suki handing him his ass, which I do like. I do think Suki, she comes back in Book 2 and Book 3. I really love her as a character. As an introduction, this is a good And, you know, when they're escaping, when Zuko is burning down the village, and Sokka and Suki kiss, and I just thought that was really cute. But overall, the episode is kind of on the lower end for me from this book. So then we have number 17 on the list, which is episode 14, I think, which is The Fortune Teller. The reason this episode is so low, we kind of have the same thing with Aang, and in this case Katara. They bend the clouds in order to lie to the village to convince them, to get them to believe Aunt Wu's prediction, in order to believe that the volcano is not going to attack the boat. I think this is less egregious because this doesn't feel like, oh, he makes up a silly story and people believe him because he's the Avatar. No, he bends the clouds and people believe it because they believe Aunt Wu and they think that Aunt Wu is causing this. You know, the sequence with the volcano actually erupting and then digging trenches and everything, amazing, just absolutely great visuals. This is, in Blaney episode, Gettysburg, you know, I talked about, and, as, you know, they introduced Zuko in that episode where Kyoshi, so Great Divide, and this episode, The Fortune Teller, are two episodes with no Zuko and Iroh in them. No Zuko, Iroh. So, Zuko is my favorite character in the show. My other favorite character is Azula, but she's not in this season, so, but, you know, this episode, it's just kind of, all of the, like, teen romance stuff, it's really drawn out, and I do like the, like, thing, like, the whole Aunt Wu stuff is just, like, kind of melodramatic with the romance. Katara is obsessed with Aunt Wu. Sokka's the voice of reason, which is pretty funny. He is humorous in this. You have the part where, this girl Ming, and she's, like, kind of, cute, but all in all, I just thought the romance stuff kind of dragged on, and there wasn't really enough going on in this episode, and it's a very story of the week kind of thing. It just doesn't really have any, like consequence on the rest of the plot, except in the next episode you see when June and the, like, Shioshu and Zuko and Aro are looking for Aang, they go into Aunt Wu's village, but, like, other than that, there's no other reference to Aunt Wu ever. I guess this, you know, this is the first hint of, like, Katang being Endgame, but, like, they could have gone any way with that. Like, yes, the prediction was true, but it's like, okay, that's a little weird. And we know Katara lives to be an old woman, because of legend, of course, so, like, yes, okay, I get it, but, like, I don't know, it's just kind of whatever for me. Number 16 was The King of Omashu. This is another Zuko-less episode. This episode is about Bumi and, basically the Avatar, you know, Aang and Sokka, Katara, they go to Omashu and, meet the crazy old king, and Aang, you have this flashback of Aang talking about his friend Bumi, and there's all this fun stuff with the slides and stuff, the, like, slip inside, like, the mail delivery service. Really fun, great sequence. This is where the Cabbage Man is introduced, which, you know, brilliant. Gotta give props for the Cabbage Man. Then we have the, you know, the actual, like, Bumi plot. There's a lot of really good jokes in this. This is a really funny episode. The part where he's like, oh, the newly refurbished chamber? The good chamber? The newly refurbished chamber? That was great. Bumi makes Aang think outside of the box. The, like, actual quest is kind of fun. It's a fun episode, and Bumi is a fun character, and basically, you know, at the end we do get some more kind of, like, sinister, you know, foreshadowing where Bumi's kind of like, yeah, you're gonna have to fight the Fire Lord, so, like, I'm teaching you to, like, think outside the box, and, like, and of course, knowing what we know now about, like, he's Order of the White Lotus, so, like, he knows what the fuck he's doing. So, like, knowing what we know now, like, from later seasons, it's like, okay, yeah, okay, but I don't know, just as an episode in where it is, it's just kind of inconsequential to the main plot for the most part, but it is really fun, and it does introduce a really great character, so for that, it gets ranked here. Number 15 is Imprisoned, which is the episode 6. The King of Omashu is episode 5, this is episode 6. So I really like the, like, main, like, plot of this episode. I think it's really good because basically it's a Katara-centric episode. It features Katara being preachy, basically, but giving them a really inspiring speech. And what I really like about this episode specifically is the element of despair that the prisoners on the ship, on the rig, the Earth prisoners on the Fire Nation rig are feeling, and it shows how war and just like imprisonment and the consequences of hiding can really beat someone down, and it shows that, and the actual plan that like Aang comes up with to like help them find Earth. They've been the coal and all that. That's like a really cool sequence, and there's like a couple good jokes. There's a part where they think Momo's earthbending. They're like, that lemur's earthbending. That was a really good joke. There are a couple others, but like, and the part where they're throwing, he's like throwing people overboard, and he throws the captain overboard, and he says, like, "Give me the captain. I need to, search this whole rig." And they're like, that was the captain you threw overboard, sir. And he's like, well, give me someone who I haven't thrown overboard and search this whole rig. I love that part. That was so good. There's some really funny parts, but like I said, the actual like story is very inspiring and very, I think, realistic in how it represents that. The thing is, I just don't find Haru that interesting. Like, he's nice. They establish him as a potential love interest for Katara, which never comes back to my knowledge. I don't think it ever comes back. We get Katang, and then Jet is like the other characters like established as a love interest for Katara, which that gets dashed immediately. But like, I don't know, like, Haru, he seems like this older guy. He's probably like 16, she's like 14. I don't know, he's probably like Sokka's age, I'm guessing. I don't know, but anyway, I just thought like Haru as a character is just not that interesting. I honestly forgot he existed until he showed up in Day of the Black Sun in book 3. Like, honestly just forgot that Haru even existed. So that's kind of why the episode's ranked lower. It's also predominantly a Zuko-less episode, except for the very end where he picks up the necklace, so that's important, but he's just not in this episode at all. So number 14 is episode 2, The Avatar Returns. So this is like the second part of the introduction, like kind of like introductory episodes. This episode is really good because we get to see Zuko attacks the Southern Water Tribe, and then, because Aang's there, and they he's like, well, leave him alone if you let Aang go. Aang, and the whole village isn't very happy with Aang being there. They're like, what's going on? And basically, Aang gets captured, and he gets on this fire, and he gets onto Zuko's ship, and basically Katara and Sokka have to go save him on Appa. So, the reason this episode is significantly above the first part of the episode is because this one has a really good fight sequence with Aang trying to escape the ship, using his airbending, all the stuff. He's trying to get out of all these rooms. He's checking in every room. I love how he opens the door on Iroh. Iroh's asleep, but he's checking every room, and he it's for his staff. He goes in to find his staff, and they have this really close quarters fight between Aang and Zuko, which is just really cool. I love that scene. It's just so well shot. Genuinely just really cool. So that's why this one is higher, and it just does more establishing the characters, establishing the lore. You have the really cool part at the end where Aang does the water bending avatar state thing where he woo gets out of the pillar, and then they get their ship stuck in the ice, and then Zuko's like, yeah, we need to dig this ship out, come on, we gotta go. And it's just it's so great. And then we have the next one is number 13, which is episode 17, The Northern Air Temple. This is one, basically it's not an episode, but it doesn't have a huge significance on the overall plot, except for the war balloon thing, which does come back at some point. I think in book 3 it comes back, I don't even remember. I like this episode because you see how Aang is reacting to his place being a sacred place being trashed, but at the same time, these people are refugees and they just needed a place to call home. And I think, and when you discover they make them not seem like the bad guys, but from Aang's point of view, they're desecrating nature. And also the Mechanist, how he's a character who seems to genuinely just be a nice guy, and he wants to just help his son, and and he's working for the Fire Nation because he's basically blackmailed, and he thinks they're going to kill him or attack him or his son or the people there if he doesn't give them what they want. Basically, he's building weapons for the Fire Nation, and he decides to be heroic and help out. Sokka helps out with the war balloon, And I just think Teo is a really nice character. He's just fun. I know some people who said he didn't like him, but I really like Teo. So I thought that was a good episode. Also, we have like a first good representation of disability here. We have Teo being in like a wheelchair, but he can fly and glide like an airbender. And we have, you know, like I said, obviously book 2 we get Toph, who is blind and is a badass. So I think disability representation really good. Again, I like this episode. It's fun, it's nice, it's got a good main plot. The sequence, it's kind of a steampunk episode. The sequence with the Fire Nation just attacking this temple, they're just bringing these tanks up the wall. That part was amazing. I loved that. But unfortunately, like, I don't know, it doesn't have, this is a completely Zuko-less episode. It doesn't have like a lot of, there's no B plot, which is fine, but it just feels very like kind of standard, and it's not as consequential, but it's still a really good episode. At number 12, I have episode 15, Balto of the Water Tribe. So, awkward title aside, when they find this guy Balto, basically, I don't like how Balto is like 7 feet tall, and like, why is Balto so tall compared to the Sokka's like should be taller? I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, I like Balto as a character is fine. I don't really have like any strong attachment to him, but the main plot, I like how this show does a good job of having all the main heroes have character flaws. So Aang not showing that, Aang not wanting to show the the message to Katara and Sokka because he's afraid they're going to leave them. Like, that's a very selfish thing that he does, and it's, you know, but it's a legitimate character flaw, but also like fear of abandonment or fear of like losing people is valid for him, so it makes a lot of sense. Katara and Sokka, you know, they're doing their thing and whatever, and I just seeing them being able to like reconnect with home is just really sweet. I honestly just, it's great honestly, and I think I just love it's just a really great like bonding moment. And I love the ending fight sequence, because you also have this B plot of Zuko and Iroh basically hiring this bounty hunter Jin who has this Shirshu, this weird like mole thing that can like sniff the ground, and it basically can track scents. So it's kind of like Wolflink and Twilight Princess when you can track scents. Basically, so this this creature can track scents and tries to track Aang's scent. You know, when Katara and Sokka and Aang get separated for a brief time, it goes after Katara, it goes after the necklace, because Zuko has a necklace. So the final fight sequence when they're in this town and Aang and Zuko are like fighting on the roof, we have Appa and Nyla, who is the like creature. They're fighting. Appa and Nyla are fighting, which is great. Again, we have, like I said, Zuko and Aang fighting on the roof, which is really badass. And then when they fight over the well and he's like dangling the necklace over the well, Aang wants that necklace back because he loves Katara and he cares about her and wants her to have that. And he's just like, you know, and he does this cool thing where he just like does this really cool water bending move, just like, or like bursts the like water out of the like pushes the water out of the well, drenches everybody, and like Zuko's just like, oh boy. And then the thing starts, they mess up the sense of the perfume, and then the thing starts like attacking everyone and starts paralyzing. Like, it paralyzes Zuko, and then Iroh's now paralyzed, and then it has Iroh being a bit of a perv in this episode, which is kind of funny. But like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was a really like that fight sequence really brought this episode up in the rankings for sure, for me. So at number 11 we have episode 9, the waterbending scroll. So this episode I think is better executed because it has another major character flaw where Katara, once they get the scroll from the pirates, Katara sneaks out at night and steals the scroll and ends up getting the gang in trouble because Zuko finds her. And again, the fight sequences are really great where they steal the boat, and they're going down the river, and then they have to like waterbend to keep the boat like back, but then Zuko's coming in and they like go over the edge. And the part at the end where they like the pirates just like steal Zuko's boat was really funny. And again, the actual fact that they're just learning more waterbending also for the pirates was really great. They have Zuko and Iroh there. You have the Pai Sho tile, the White Lotus tile, and like that is like so important, even though it's not explained in this episode, because Order of the White Lotus, Iroh being Order of the White Lotus, is genuinely like very important. And I just love Iroh's just sense of humor is great. He's just like, I found things I'm not looking for, and he just like finds, and he buys this Sungi horn, which that becomes like a musical motif from the show, which is great. Again, I just think this has a bit of like clumsy kind of storytelling. Like they seriously made a detour just to buy a Pai Sho piece. Like I get it. Iroh is Iroh, but like I don't know. But I still genuinely really enjoyed like watching this episode. It was just super fun. The thrills of the whole pirate thing, the boat going over, it just fighting off Zuko, fighting off the pirates. Just a really good episode, in my opinion. So getting into the top half of the list, we have number 10, which is episode 3, The Southern Air Temple. This episode hit pretty hard for me. It's not ranked at the very top, like 5, kind of, because 1, I just think there are better episodes, and 2, I think that this episode is just kind of it's not paced as well as maybe some of the other episodes, but this episode very serious stuff. Aang, they show up at the Air Temple. Aang basically has to come to terms with the fact that all of his people have been killed by the Fire Nation. He sees the skeleton of Gyatso. He gets upset. Well, he looks around in the temple, tries to figure out what to do for the Avatar. They find Momo in this episode, and he finds the skeleton of Gyatso and gets very upset. Goes into the Avatar state, and Katara is just there to comfort him, and it's just a great, and even the way like Katara's trying to hide the truth, and Sokka's like, well, he's gonna have to know eventually, and it's just they're trying to protect him because he's still a child, and it's just a really powerful like emotional beat. And then we also have the B plot, which is the introduction of Zhao. I absolutely love Zhao as a villain. I mean, I hate him. He's like, I hate, like, you know what, you love to hate him. Like, he's a great villain. And I think Zhao kind of shows, like, what Zuko could become if he continues down this path, because we see in a later episode how Zhao is, like, completely can't control his temper, and Zuko is, like, on that kind of level of not being able to control his temper at this stage. And once you know about Zhao as a teenager, we learn about that in another episode, but basically, Zhao is, like, the dark reflection of Zuko if he became this way as an adult. And also, just, Zhao is just awesome. And honestly, the Agni Kai between Zhao and Zuko, is amazing. This was the moment when I started loving Zuko, because, when I was like, even my banished nephew has more honor than you, and he literally, this fucking guy, Zhao, literally sneaks in an attack from behind. Zuko will not kill, which is like a very, like, consistent thing about his character. Like, I'm not saying he's never been responsible for anyone's death, or like, he's probably like indirectly caused death and like, you know, ran ships into places, and like, yes, you can argue he's attempting to kill. He doesn't really want to kill Katara and Sokka. He doesn't care about Katara and Sokka, and he's not going to kill Aang because Aang's the Avatar. Killing the Avatar is pointless. So like, I don't know. Yes, he does things which could put people in danger, but he like, when faced with a situation of like a life or death, there's someone in front of you who's fighting you, he will not kill, and that's something that is very prevalent in this season. I mean, even continuing into the other seasons, but I think, so first of all, that establishes that character trait, but then second of all, you see like some like goodness or mercy in him, or like some like holding back from like what the Fire Nation would normally do. Like, oh, you're gonna like, because Zhao's like tempting him to kill. It's like, the Fire Nation, that's what they teach their children. So we get some indication that he's not necessarily in line with that ideology. And then we also learn about just, you know, Zhao just being awful, and it's just a really great moment. And it just, I just genuinely, I thought that Agni Kai was really cool. So honestly, the two main plots in this episode are both really good. So number 9, which is episode 7, is called The Spirit World. So The Spirit World is part 1 of Winter Solstice. And this episode, really solid plot. It established, so basically they go to this village, there's nothing growing there, and this village is being terrorized by this spirit named Heibai, and Aang has to try to calm the spirit, but Aang doesn't know how to communicate with the spirits yet. He gets captured, gets thrown into the spirit world, gets caught by, like, Roku's dragon, who just shows him, like, hey, there's a comet, you need to speak to Roku on the winter solstice. Aang's like, oh shit, I don't know how to get there. There's a crescent island in the Fire Nation, you have to go there to speak to Roku, and he's like, oh shit, the winter solstice is, like, tomorrow, and, you know, he has to rescue Sokka, because Sokka gets dragged away by the spirit, and eventually he's able to show the spirit, hey, these are acorns, the forest will grow back, and because that's Katara uses that to comfort Aang, and then he comforts the spirit, and basically says, hey, stop terrorizing the village, and this, like, monster spirit turns into, like, a panda, which is his normal form. He's like a fire spirit, and it's just really nice conclusion there, and it does also set up the next episode really, really nicely, which we'll get to in a bit. So number 8 is episode 18, the Waterbending Master. So this is the, like, episode before the finale, and I think that this episode does a great job of setting up the whole Siege of the North thing. And this is just a badass episode for Katara. She just basically says, fuck the patriarchy, and just genuinely, like, just, it's awesome. I love Katara in this episode. Master Pakku is kind of a major dick, but he does change. The stuff with Gran Gran is really great, like, having that element that he was Gran Gran's ex, basically, and doesn't want to make the same mistake again, sees the power in Katara, and he's like, oh shit, and, you know, just the way she fights, and it's just great. You also have the developing relationship between Sokka and Yue, which, oh, my heart. Yeah, great stuff. So then, number 7 on the list is episode 19, Siege of the North Part 1. So this is the follow-up, and part 1 of the finale. So basically you have the Fire Nation just, like, looming on the shores of this northern water tribe, and they're just, like, dealing with that. So you have the Sokka and Yue plot advancing, they're preparing for invasion. You have this guy who's Yue is arranged to marry as this Han guy who's a real dick. Sokka is trying to help in his whole situation. It's just great, the rivalry between them. You know, we have Katara and Aang. Aang tries to take out, like, one of the ships and can't because there's too many ships. It's just really tense. It's a really great, and he's like, oh, so we need to find the spirits to get help, right? So then they basically go to this spiritual place, and he enters the spirit world, and then Zuko and Katara fight. And at the end of this episode, it's really great when Zuko and Katara fight. This establishes the sun and moon duality, and basically Katara tries to hand him his ass. He ends up getting, the sun comes up, he beats her ass, he takes Aang, and that's how the episode ends. It's just brilliant setup for a finale. Just so good. And we have number 6 on the list, which is episode 16, The Deserter. And this episode, so close to being top 5. It's not in my top 5. It was in my dad's top 5 when I asked him. But this episode, holy shit. Yeah. So first of all, we get to see Fire Nation culture. So I do want to mention Zuko's not in this episode. Zhao's in this episode, which I'll get to. But we do get to see Fire Nation culture, which is awesome. I love seeing the, like, festival and the masks and everything, and it's just a great element. Che is just kind of there, and then we get Zhang Zhang. And Zhang Zhang is, like, such a cool character because, of course, he's also a member of the White Lotus, which, you know, we don't know yet, but he is. And he's reluctant to train Aang because Aang isn't ready to learn firebending, but Aang's like, I need to learn firebending now, and Aang is essentially saying, like, yeah, okay, I need to learn firebending right now, so, like, please help me. And he's going out of order, but, you know, he's in a desperate situation, and he still got that childlike wonder. He wants to do cool shit with fire, and he ends up hurting Katara. This establishes Katara's healing powers. He vows to never firebend again, which, you know, he's gonna have to at some point. It's really sad, and the ending sequence where Zhang Zhang said that he had a student who just completely lost control, and like, again, this is like, imagine if Zuko became an adult and just like continued down this exact path, he would become someone like Zhao, I think. If he got a hold of like his impulses and was able to be like more like authoritative, I guess. But like Zhao was like an adult, like angry, like I shouldn't say angrier, but like more commanding Zuko, I guess, in this situation. He has no self-control, so he essentially burns his own ships. And just like he's like why you haven't even told a single blow? How are you winning? And he's like basically like, yeah, but you have. And then all the ships just burn. Zhao just burns all his own ships down because he's just so pissed at Aang. He just will not like stop shooting fire at his own ships. Brilliant. I love that part so much. That just such a great fight. Such a great Zhao moment there. Just holy shit. Amazing. So now we're entering my top 5, and I have number 5, which is episode 10, Jet. This episode, oh my god. Yes, another Zuko-less episode, by the way. But there's no need for a B plot here. Because this episode just, holy shit. The A plot is so good. We have the character of Jet and the Freedom Fighters. You Pipsqueak and the Duke, that's a good gag. Longshot, Smellerbee, and Jet. And Jet is such an interesting character. And the way Jet is written, Sokka's the skeptic, Katara and Aang likes Jet, Katara, is in love with him. Sokka's the skeptic as always, but he turned out to be right. And once Aang and Katara realize he's gonna blow up, he's just gonna kill innocent people, and that's Jet's morality is very skewed to a point where I'd even say Zuko, even at this point, probably has some sense of it's like doing the right thing for the wrong reason versus doing the wrong thing for the right reason, kind of. Like Zuko does the right thing for the wrong reason, like he frees Aang because he wants to be able to, he doesn't want Zhao to get him. That's the wrong reason. But he frees Aang from Zhao. And Jet does the wrong thing for the right reason. His reason is Fire Nation bad. They kill my family. I want revenge. But I also want justice for the world. The world shouldn't have to face this scourge, but then also killing innocent people is okay. So it's a really interesting, because even though Zuko's not in this episode, it's kind of an interesting moral parallel. I think Jet is also written to be a dark parallel of Sokka, because Sokka has been affected by the war as well, and he gets very upset. He really hates the Fire Nation. Sokka is very, very, kind of upfront about that, but he genuinely, great stuff. But he will not let that get in the way of his morality. He doesn't believe killing innocent people is okay, and even when it's like an old man, he's just because he's got Fire Nation robes, it's just a random old man. He's not trying to kill you. Not everyone in the Fire Nation is trying to kill you. Just because their government is bad or at war with your government doesn't mean yeah, it's very messed up. So, and the whole morality of this episode is just great. And, I just thought Jet was, a really cool, one-off character. But then, of course, he comes back in Book 2, which is so amazing. Genuinely the most awesome, comeback of any character. And absolutely love. And you do get to see him go head-to-head with Zuko in that book, which is really cool. And I just like the fall leaves kind of setting in this episode. It's just really nice. Just really pleasant to look at, even though it's supposed to be winter. I don't know. Anyway, number 4 is episode 8, Avatar Roku. So yes, I love Roku as a character. Roku is great. I love the fight, fight on the way there when they're just when all the Fire Nation ships, there's a blockade and they're just flinging fireballs and they have to dodge on Appa. That's so good. Zhao letting Zuko through because he thinks Zuko will lead him to the Avatar. Brilliant. The actual setting, the sunset, the cool ass looking temple, The indoor, like, fire temple architecture, so cool. The sage outfits, so cool. How all of the sages but one turn on Aang, brilliant. And, you know, one sage is helping him, but they all get punished for helping. And they all open the door. The trick that Sokka pulls with Momo, great. Amazing. The actual part with Roku, this establishes Sozin's comment, which is, like, the most important plot element in the entire show, so, like, yes. Establishes Sozin's comment, great stuff. First time we've ever seen Ozai, we see him in silhouette here, great. And also, just amazing, just, amazing escape sequence. Well, just Aang just trying to get into Siroku, Zuko grabs him, and then Zhao is also there, so in the escape sequence, he literally, like, Roku embodies him. He uses that power, he starts blasting everyone runs away, Zhao runs away, Zuko runs away, and then, like, everyone's like, where's Aang? And Katara and Sokka are running away, and the temple's literally crumbling. Amazing. Just love that sequence so much. Genuinely top tier stuff. Number 3, episode 13, the Blue Spirit. Like, Zuko. Like, Aang and Zuko episodes are my favorite, which, like, you'll see. Just, I mean, throughout most of these rankings, but, like, because the narrative parallels between Aang and Zuko and, like, the way their character arcs play off each other is so fucking good in this entire show. Oh my god. And it's just amazing. And obviously we don't know who the Blue Spirit is for most of the episode. Like, rewatching it's really fun because you're like, oh yeah, that's Zuko, he's being smart. Like, of course you don't know the first time watching. So that reveal at the end, holy shit, just mask off. And he's like, holy shit, that's Zuko, what the fuck? Zuko just saved me, what the fuck? And, the first part of the episode with the archers, and just great action sequence running away from the archers. The part where Aang, you know, Zhao basically is like, I'm admiral now, that's a command, and then gives a Nazi speech, basically. Captures Aang, says he's going to keep him alive, just barely. Heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. The frog plot is very funny. Zuko sneaking in, freeing Aang, and the escape sequence where Zuko as the Blue Spirit and Aang are fighting together. Just amazing. And like I said, he's doing the right thing for the wrong reason here. He's freeing Aang because he doesn't want Zhao to get to him first. It's interesting how he lets Aang go. Like, he doesn't capture Aang, he lets him go. They're just chilling in the forest. And when they have that scene in the forest, holy shit, my heart, like, just, that scene is so good. And it's like, yeah, do you think we could have been friends in another life? And Zuko just responds, just angrily, just fire blast, just fuck. Like, damn it, fuck. I like this kid, but I can't be friends with him because I have to capture him for my own, like, honor, my own, like, family to accept me. Like, and it's so heartbreaking. You get the scene at the end where they're both just lying in bed just thinking, like, oh shit. It's just, oh my god, yes, just amazing. Number 2 is episode 20, Siege of the North Part 2. This is the final episode of the season, season finale. Great. I'll say, I think I like this season finale more than season 2's finale. Obviously, season 3 finale is the best one because it's the end of the show, but season 2 finale, like, I like it. It's really good, but it doesn't, to me, the impact of season 1 finale, I don't know. I just, like, yes, season 2 is the Empire Strikes Back of the show, but I don't think it has the same hard-hitting finale that, like, Empire Strikes Back does. But yeah, basically, Siege of the North Part 2, just the visual effects with the moon getting stolen, the red sky, and then the black sky, the black and white, Aang becoming the ocean spirit, Yue sacrificing herself, my heart, just Zhao being an absolute menace to society, just amazing. I think that was the episode I really watched, and I was like, okay, the stakes in this show are actually, like, really fucking high. I was, like, really concerned for a second. like, watching it. Like, when Zhao actually killed the moon spirit. I'm like, how the hell are they gonna get out of this? That's so sad. Like, just the rage, the hopelessness that you feel. And I'm just embodying the ocean spirit. And then Yue sacrificing herself. Beautiful. Zhao getting swallowed by the ocean spirit, what he deserves. Zhao is a great villain, but having him for more than one season would have gotten redundant, so I'm glad they changed it out majorly, and they changed up Zuko's role as well by making him a refugee in season 2. Great stuff. But the scene where Zuko tries to save Zhao, and Zhao's just like, I'm too proud, but I'm not gonna get saved by this fucking idiot who I think is a traitor and a fugitive. Fuck you. Amazing characterization for both of them, because it shows, one, that Zuko, even if he doesn't like the person, he won't let them die, and two, that Zhao is too prideful to accept help from someone he sees as lesser than him. Just amazing. Amazing character moment for both of them. Just season finale, just great stuff. Katara's waterbending, amazing. We get the cave scene, just, oh my god. Zuko and Aang, just Zuko talks about Azula and goes to exposition, like, and that line, that part where he says, like, my sister was born lucky, I was lucky to be born. Holy fuck, man. Oh my god. Just, damn it. Just such a good episode, honestly. But it's not my favorite episode of the season. My favorite episode, episode 12, The Storm. I said Aang and Zuko episodes are my favorites, and yes. First of all, I think the main, like, the actual, like, present day, like, main plot of this story is basically there's a storm coming, and that Aang is talking to Katara at this village to get food, and they need money, so Sokka gets a job as a fish hauler. There's a bad storm. They try to go out to find Sokka, and Katara rests in a cave. And then Zuko is also trying to pursue Aang, so he drives his ship into the storm, even though Iroh warns that there's going to be a storm, and he's basically like a dick to the captain. And, you know, they eventually meet up in the storm, and Zuko, they go under. Sokka and this old man he's with, they go under, and Aang basically goes into the Avatar state, saves everyone, and then Zuko says, we need to get the ship. He doesn't go after Aang. He says, we need to get the ship to safety, which, again, he will not. Like, he got them in that danger in the first place. Like, he chased them into the storm. Like, he realized his mistake, and he's like, oh, fuck, we need to, like, safety. I can't just let my crew die like that. What the fuck? Like, I'm not that cruel. I'm not like Zhao would just dispose of. And the flashbacks are what make this episode, because this is where we get more of Aang's backstory. We understand why he ran away, and this is where we get, like, the first real element of Zuko's backstory, which, holy shit. Now, of course, we get way more, and, like, this is dark enough on its own, like, the stuff with, like, literally his father saying, oh, literally just him saying, like, just, like, hurting his son like that, literally burning him just for speaking out and refusing to fight. That's cruel enough. But then, of course, we learn in book 2, he literally was gonna have his son killed. Like, what the, Jesus Christ. I'm just getting chills talking about this. It's just so intense. But yeah, basically Zuko's backstory is definitely painful. It's very painful. But Aang's is so sad, because he just runs. He's just too young to be the Avatar, and he just runs away. And Gyatso is just trying to preserve his innocence, and he just can't. And it's just so sad. And he never sees Gyatso again. He runs away, and this is so tragic. Gyatso probably thought he was dead. He just ran away, and then Gyatso died being a Fire Nation people. He didn't know what the fuck happened to Aang. It's so tragic, man. It really is. And with Zuko's side, the parallel, again, we have a parallel where, you know, Aang has a past of doing something bad and is trying to become good, like trying to fix his mistake, whereas Zuko has a past of doing something good and getting punished for it, and then is trying to reconcile with his family by doing something bad, by doing something that's like morally bad, but it's in his best interest. And it's so good. Just Zuko and Aang, just their parallels are genuinely beautiful. The actual framing of this episode, the way it's just done, just seamlessly cutting back and forth between Aang telling Tatara's story and Iroh telling the captain Zuko's story, heartbreaking. Just the ending, I just have chills. Where Zuko's like, we need to get the ship to safety, and Aang just flies away and up, and he just looks down, and Zuko just looks up, like it's this long shot of Zuko just looking up. It's just, wow, holy shit, chills down my spine. Now, it's not my favorite episode of the whole show. I think there's some in book 2 and 3, which, like, I have to say are better than this one, but this episode is definitely my favorite episode in book 1, for good reason, because it's just genuinely one of the best, and I think it's easily top 10, possibly top 5 of the whole show, in my opinion. It's just genuinely that good. So yeah, definitely The Storm is my favorite episode, but all in all, I still think book 1 is really solid, even though a lot of people think that book 2 or 3 are better. I agree, like, book 2 and 3 are overall stronger, but I think book 1 is really solid regardless. There's so much good stuff in